Time here can be equated to suffering. The time it takes you to come to terms with who and what you really are can be measured in terms of suffering, confusion, denial, self-hatred, depression, addiction and immense errors in life. You are in the wrong place with the wrong people doing the wrong things, things that are harmful, things that are setting you back, things that are holding you back. If you had any sense of your true nature and purpose, you would see how utterly destructive this is, how pointless this is, how in the end it will not amount to anything, and how easy it would be for you who have these freedoms in this world, to waste this great opportunity you have in living in an emerging world such as this, where there is still freedom of personal expression, where there is a diversity of religious expression, and where the opportunity to gain access to knowledge is still very great. The shock of learning about life in the greater community is the shock of learning how little freedom there is, how oppressive so many nations in the universe are, and how devoid of inspiration this existence is for their citizens. Still isolated within your own world, you cannot yet appreciate these things from your own experience. But you can look at your world and see the nations where people's freedoms are restricted and recognize how this could become ever more extreme within a greater community environment. Humanity is heading towards resource depletion. What you need to understand is that every advanced nation in the universe is facing resource depletion. That is the threat that hangs over them. That is their condition. They have generated technological innovation to deal with this problem, but technology requires resources as well. To lose your self-sufficiency in this regard, you cast yourself into a very difficult set of circumstances, where your life and your circumstances will be controlled by others who are providing you resources that you cannot provide yourself. This establishes nations that are uniform and oppressive, where everyone must think the same and do what they're told. This is the norm among advanced nations in the universe, while free nations, nations that value the creativity and the possibility for the individual, are extremely rare in contrast. This is not what you want to hear, but it is what you must hear, or you will not understand life beyond your borders. You will not understand the progress of life. You will not understand the difficult circumstances that exist in the greater community. And you will not understand the nature and intentions of those who are visiting your world now, why their objectives are what they are and what motivates them. God has a greater plan. You cannot understand it. You can only participate within it. If you participate within it, it will become evident that there is a plan, that there are greater forces beyond your visual range who are assisting you, and that there is a great movement not only within your world, but throughout the universe, a movement towards resolution, a movement towards ending separation, a movement of redemption to discover the experience of knowledge. This is universal. The problems that you face in this world are the same problems that individuals in all worlds face. The need for freedom is a need that is experienced everywhere. The freedom to think, the freedom to act, the freedom to move around, the freedom to discern one's own inner direction, the freedom to pursue that direction, the freedom to create, the freedom to discover one's greater purpose and to express that purpose, without oppression, without condemnation and without subjugation. Do not, then, look at the greater community as a vast resource awaiting your exploration. Do not think that it is a big playground where you can go and enjoy recreation, traveling around as a tourist, having adventures and so forth. These motivations all demonstrate that you do not take your life seriously and do not recognize the greater opportunity your life is giving you to discover your deeper inclinations and to find a greater fulfillment here. It is the destiny of all intelligent life to rediscover knowledge and to return to God through service to their worlds. This is what ends the separation. For if you are acknowledging, experiencing and following the deeper knowledge, it means that you are experiencing a relationship with the divine. You are following the divine will. God is speaking to you through knowledge. You are following this in very specific ways, leading you to do very specific things, to engage with certain individuals and to establish relationships that represent a higher purpose in life. You are still an individual. You are still living in your respective world. You are still facing the challenges of your circumstances. You are still facing the limits of freedom that exist within your world. But now you are connected to something deeper and far more profound, something that brings unity and clarity to your life and relief from your own inner conflicts and contradictions. The universe then becomes a place where you can contribute. Here contribution becomes your emphasis as you experience a greater fulfillment through service and giving to others, giving from this well of knowledge that is serving you, that is nourishing you, and that is providing you a direction to follow in life, a direction that you are meant to follow. There is a presence with you. It is the unseen presence. It is here to encourage you, to reinforce you, not to rule you. You must find knowledge to guide you. No spiritual force will rule you. It is knowledge that you must find and follow. This gives you back to yourself. This establishes your authority in life. This gives you power. This gives you certainty. This gives you direction. And it also connects you to your source. It gives you fundamentally what you need as an individual, and it begins to end separation in your life. Here you look at the physical universe as a temporary place. No longer is it so overwhelming. No longer is it so threatening. You are able to travel through it guided by a greater power, recognizing its opportunities and its limitations, its pleasures and its tragedies, without becoming lost in these things. You may pray to God for many things, for advantages and for protection, but you have already been given the greatest gift that God will give you, a gift that remains to be discovered, experienced and expressed. That is why God is bringing the most fundamental spiritual practice in life into the world through the form of the greater community way of knowledge, for you to practice now what others throughout the universe are practicing, to develop the skills that races throughout the universe are developing, to gain a deeper resonance and therefore a deeper connection to life. Perhaps you already feel a connection to life in the universe because you have a greater community orientation within yourself. This will bring clarity to this connection, making it meaningful, purposeful and giving it great relevance in your life. God has given you free will. You may choose what you will follow in your life, though few people fully utilize this freedom of choice. In most places in the universe, they do not have or are not granted the freedom of choice. Yet they still have it. Once they realize that knowledge is a reality, they will have a choice as to whether to recognize it or not, whether to follow it or not, whether to choose to experience it or not, and whether to express what it has given them to express or not. God will not force redemption upon you. That is why there is no judgment day in the universe. God knows that without knowledge to guide you, you would make foolish and often terrible mistakes. God knows that without knowledge to guide you, your life would be full of error and difficulty, confusion and uncertainty. This is what has created the world that you see. It is the world where individuals are living without the awareness of knowledge. That is why even though you have great freedom compared to the greater community, within yourself you are not free. You are a slave to your fears. You are a slave to your desires. You are a slave to your social conditioning and to the expectations of others. You are a slave to your need for approval. You are a slave to your fantasies and your desires. You are a slave even to your goals, which often do not reflect your best interests. What liberates you from this is a greater power that has a greater destiny for you. You have important things to do in life, and if you are not doing them, you will feel restless and discontented, confused, uncertain, critical of yourself, critical of other people, constantly complaining and so forth. You have the freedom to choose. The presence is with you. You can choose to experience it or not. You can choose to come closer to it or not. You can choose to understand it or not. Many people lose themselves in trivial things or in the particulars of their busy schedules. They stay busy so they will not feel what they know, so they will not come to terms with themselves, running around constantly, preoccupied, consumed, driven, without any deeper sense of where they are or what they are doing. In the universe, all beings living in separation have a choice whether to continue to live in separation or to begin a pathway of return, a journey of return to their source. This is the essence of the matter. The distinctive features of a nation's theology, the differences between religions that exist within your world and other worlds, the difference in belief, the difference in pageantry, the difference in worship or spiritual practice, these are not the essence of the matter. These are not very important. What teacher you follow, what avatar or savior you acknowledge, what rendition of salvation you believe in, These are not the essence of the matter. What returns you to God is to follow what God has put within you to follow, not what you believe. Your beliefs either help you or are hindering you from discovering the power and the presence of knowledge within yourself. Groups and nations in the universe have fought endlessly over their religious beliefs. Who is right? Who is righteous? Whose version of reality is the official version of reality? Whose belief in God is more correct than someone else's belief in God? These are all quandaries in the mind, but to the spirit there is only the one, the power and presence of knowledge, what God has put in you and others to guide you and to lead you to a place of contribution that is entirely natural for you, that represents the fulfillment of the deeper need of your soul. This is the theology of life in the universe. It is applicable to the larger scheme of things beyond your imagination, and it speaks to the most intimate part of your own existence. It is both vast and incalculable, and extremely intimate and essential to everything that you do. To recognize the difference between the manifestations of religion and the fundamental practice in the way of knowledge is to really separate the essence of the matter from its forms of expression, to see what is essential and to contrast it with what is only circumstantial. You can practice the way of knowledge within a formal religion or outside a formal religion. This is what shows you what is uniform and consistent in the universe and what connects you to other life forms in the universe and to other members of your spiritual family, who are not all human beings. This is what will enable you to communicate with other life forms, to recognize them, to understand their intentions, to discern their behavior, to recognize whether they are strong with knowledge or not, what guides them, what motivates them and what restricts them. This is the essence of your future communications with life in the universe and the essence of your communication with one another here on Earth. The theology of the universe is really the clarity and the unity of purpose that you serve with all beings guided by knowledge. As long as you can discern the difference between knowledge and the manifestations and creations of the mind, you will be able to see this clearly. And it will make all the difference in how you view yourself and your world and your ability to prepare for your future and the greater community. Eventually, all the religions of the world will have to reconsider their beliefs and positions regarding God in light of the greater community.